if Jevons paradox holds,
Yeah.
yes, but I think the skills will be different. I don't
Mhm.
think they will be different. There will be some disintermediation. So some roles that exist today
Mhm.
will be replaced by technology, or replaced not completely, but significantly. Do you think about the person I was speaking to about this pharmaceutical problem? Previously, for them to produce an application, they would have had maybe needed a product designer, a developer, a BA. They can now go off and build a good enough prototype without the product designer, without the BA, and without the engineer. Now, to get that to production, you will definitely still need an engineer. And you probably will need a BA, and may need a product designer as well. But actually, a significant chunk of the work they were doing is just being replaced by the person who's driving the technology.
Mhm. Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of problems this creates as well. So if you're getting right into generative AI and working with models, there's a bunch of stuff around governance, the quality of your data. And by the way, that core hard engineering stuff still exists in there as well.
Yeah.
So there's going to be an expansion of roles into
Mhm.
that didn't exist,
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Look at cyber. Cyber today is blossoming as an industry. Who would have thought 20 years ago that this was going to be so large?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's just the way it is. There will be new roles emerging. I do think, though, right now is at this moment, we are between two epochs of relative normalcy, whatever normalcy looks like. And in this period, we are being disrupted politically, socially, environmentally, and technologically. There's just so much in the mix right now, and everyone's just a little bit confused as to where this is all going to end up. So people running businesses are concerned that they need certainty, they need clarity on where the direction is going. Because if they've got clarity, they can plan. We're just coming out of a recession. Goodness knows what the last few days in world politics will create more another recession. Who knows?
Mhm.
So that lack of clarity, and you mix it in with all this disruption around technology as well. It's a very uncertain time for most
Mhm.
businesses.
Mhm.
But there's also opportunity in there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So the ones that will come through this are the ones that are really nimble, they're adaptive, they move fast, and they're also entrepreneurial. They're adaptive, and as my CEO said today, he's got some great expressions. They're street fighting.
Mhm.
That's the world that we're in now. That we're really getting in and fighting the bit here, because I think that's today's world.
Yeah.
But being normal will turn at some point
Yeah.
in the next year, 2 years, who knows?
Mhm.
So right now we're in probably one of the most disruptive periods that any of us will experience.
Mhm.
And I think even more so than, say, the iPhone or the internet, because we're throwing politics and society and the environment and lots of it and economics, all of it's happening at the same time.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's what it feels like in my head, certainly.
There's certainly plenty,
Yeah.
plenty going on right now. So we talked a bit about it in Still, and say as a private business, you want to take opportunities and provide services. You're one of the founding members of Software NI, as it's now known, and tell us a bit about why you're involved in that rather than just being off as in Still.
Yeah, I think for all of us involved in this industry, it's about doing our best to rise the tide for all boats. We need to take the view that we're all in it for ourselves and I'm all right, Jack, or we can help each other actually try to prosper more. This is a competitive world, and we are but a pimple on the side of it, So Northern Ireland is a small place. Some would argue we're punching, but we do have to punch, and we have to punch hard, basically. So yeah, we had reasons to create this, which I think have thankfully sort of diminished a little bit. There were just concerns about companies coming in and taking senior staff that we spent years developing and elevating rates in the market and making us a lot less competitive globally. And that did happen. But rather than complain about that, because it's everyone's problem, the challenge then became, well, how do we grow pipeline together? So how do we actually enable more companies to come in, or more indigenous companies to actually prosper and grow by increasing the pipeline of talent? So that became one of our key goals as you think of it as a business almost.
Yeah.
But collectively, our goal is to grow the software industry in Northern Ireland. And 3 or 4 of us came together initially with a few pitchforks around some of the concerns we had. But actually, I think we turned this into something really productive for everyone, and it's great to see. Like, we've got a fantastic chair who now runs the board. He's the real deal. We've got a fantastic CEO who's young, hungry, who just lives this every day, who has experience of working with government, and who genuinely wants to change this industry and create opportunities for all in the industry as well. He totally believes in the mission of software and I think it's been really well led, and I think its sense of purpose is today really strong. Now, in the mix, we've got all this disruption and crazy stuff happening as well.
Yeah.
But I think the long-term vision of what we're trying to do here is pretty clear. And I don't believe anybody who's on the board or closely involved in this is thinking about this as for themselves. They're thinking about this as, what can we do for the software industry in Northern Ireland? This is 100 million% the right attitude to have towards this entity.
And what about that you talked about the talent pipeline, about increasing that? How practically do you think Software and I or Instill as an organization or can do that?
No, we can't do it individually. I think so. There are a number of initiatives that Software and I has kicked off around education, skills, and future skills, and they are on progress, and I think they're being really well led. But the challenges that we've got they're pretty big. They start right down in stereotyping of young kids and being put into various boxes of where their life is pretty much going to go, whether that's socially or based on their gender or whatever, or their parents. So there's sort of complex challenges to unpick there, and that is not going to be solved overnight. Now, how do we bring more young women, for example, into this industry? How do we make it more attractive to young women that this is an industry for all, not just for the 75% of young men that we get coming into the industry every year? There are opportunities, because it's not just about coding, right? Although that's not, in a way, saying that sounds like as if I'm gender stereotyping. It's not meant to be that. This is a very wide-ranging career. There's opportunities across lots of different skills.